Hi, and welcome back to another Cross Training Women Facebook Live. I'm Allie, a Christian health and fitness coach, and last week I did a poll to see what kind of content you wanted me to create next, and the clear winner was nutrition. And so this month I'm excited to focus on nutrition, and the reason why I'm excited to talk about this topic is because besides body image, this was my biggest struggle growing up. So the other day, I posted a picture of me and what I used to eat, and you seriously would not believe it. I was the girl who ate Frosted Flakes for breakfast, a plain ham sandwich with chips, Oreos, or some other baked good that my mom made. I would have strawberries, but they were dipped in sugar. For dinner, a lot of times I had a baked potato that was loaded with butter and salt, and I'd have a bowl or two of Edie's mint chocolate chip ice cream, a can or two of Coke, and McDonald's like at least 2 to 3 times per week. And all through college, I was repulsed by all whole plant-based foods. I did not eat any vegetables or fruits except for strawberries that were dipped in sugar. No beans or whole grains. And if you followed my journey or saw my health and fitness journey video that I posted back in March, then you'll know that I've been eating a whole foods plant-based diet now for 5 years. So literally, I'm eating the exact opposite of how I grew up. But before switching to a whole foods plant-based diet, I battled with food. Growing up, it was because I was a picky eater and I didn't like it. But then after college, it was a battle to find the right diet to help me lose weight. And I spent hours researching what other fitness influencers were eating. I tried all sorts of diets and supplements, meal replacements, and I was just so miserable and hangry because I restricted my calories and limited my carbs. And the worst was that I was just so confused and frustrated because nothing worked. I had no idea who to believe or trust. Are carbs good or bad for you? How much protein do I need to eat? When do I need to eat? How much should I eat? What should my macros be? Should I go gluten-free? Should I be concerned more about the amount of fat I eat or just saturated or trans fats? You know, what supplements, if any, should I be taking? Like, can you relate to that? Let me know in the comments. Hey, Mom. Hey, Kara. Hey, sis. For some reason, you're on the Cross Training Women Facebook page. That's okay. Yeah, Kara remembers when all I ate was junk. So many of the families growing up, would accommodate me because of that reason. And what I just want to say is that there's just so much contradictory information out there and so many strong opinions. And so if you're just as confused and frustrated with nutrition, I get it. You are not alone. And even though there is an abundance of information, very few people are confident or know what they should be doing in order to improve their health. And it's not because the research and the answers aren't there, but after studying nutrition and going through a nutrition certification course, I learned that there are reasons for all of this confusion. And I wrote a blog post about this yesterday. And so if you've already had the chance to read that, then you know that there are predominantly 5 reasons why nutrition is so confusing. And I want to share this information again, or rather expose these reasons, because it truly is important to know the truth. So I'm only gonna really scratch the surface on each one, because if I were to go in depth, I would probably need hours to go through these 5 reasons. So who wants to know why nutrition is so confusing? Leave me an emoji in the comments. Okay, so reason number 1 is just bad, misleading, or manipulative research. So many nutrition studies that are published and that are pushed through the mainstream media are not well constructed, professionally conducted, or accurately reported. And some studies are constructed and conducted so poorly that their findings are literally pure nonsense. And nonsense, by the way, is my nephew's and niece's new favorite word, thanks to Peppa Pig. But whether it's through the sample size, the control group, the methods that they use, the length of the study, which oftentimes these studies are only short term, and with nutrition, that's a huge problem because problems, illnesses, or diseases, they take time to develop. Or worse, which is often the case, is that research studies are intentionally designed this way in order to support premeditated and pre-paid conclusions. They spin the numbers, they cherry pick details, and just conveniently leave out the rest. They report them out of context and imply, much greater significance than they actually possess. And so I have more to come on this in the second reason why nutrition is so confusing. But first, I just wanted to say that you can really get any study to say exactly what you want it to say. And I liken this to the Bible. People take Bible verses and passages out of context all the time in order to support their beliefs and the way they want to live, and the same goes through nutrition studies. And again, it's just self-serving. It's to support their own products, their own services, their own agendas, because of the second reason why nutrition is so confusing, and I feel is the biggest problem of all. And so that is, well, do you have any guesses? Let me know in the comments what you think the biggest problem of all. Leave them in the comments. So this shouldn't be any surprise, honestly, but money. There are a lot of people making an awful lot of money on the confusion of nutrition. So yes, you heard me right. Whether that's a book on the latest fad diet, though the author has no understanding of nutritional science, supplements, which by the way is over a $30 billion industry, medication or surgery, a lot of them want you to stay uninformed and confused so that they can keep selling you the foods that are unhealthy, so that you keep buying their products and services, even if it's at the expense of your health. They really don't care about your health, they just want your money. And so there are very powerful, influential, and extremely wealthy industries that stand to lose a vast amount of money if you understood nutrition and just started eating a healthy diet. And because money is, the most powerful force available, it allows those who have it to influence research and science and government policy, the media, popular culture, and just the conversations that take place in our homes. Scientists, for example, are much more likely to receive research funding and contracts from corporations for research that can produce the next pill, the next supplement, superfood, or hospital treatment. Why? Because a technological approach to nutrition makes money. Drugs, supplements, enriched and fortified foods. All of these are highly profitable and can be protected by intellectual property laws. And so there's plenty of funding for this type of research, and so it gets done. But by contrast, research into nutritional effects of, let's say, whole plant-based foods, there's no market potential in that. And so you can't patent a recommendation to eat lots of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains. And so really there's no incentive for the industry to invest in such research, and no incentive for researchers to study and validate such claims. And researchers, obviously not all, of course, they go along with it because of the same reason. They are paid to publish the science that's in their favor. And once you are aware of this, you will see how common it is for a research study to be funded by the industry that stands to make a lot of money from a particular outcome or result. So, for example, if a study is in favor of dairy, let's say butter, for example, it's because the dairy industry funded it. I cannot guarantee every time, but literally like 99% of the time. Same goes for meat, nuts, or just about anything. In other words, it's hard to trust any study out there. And think about it. Would a researcher be likely to contradict the sales and marketing agenda of the industries that sponsor its research? Probably not. Food manufacturers of processed junk food with lots of sugars, salt, fat, and other additives, they know their product is not healthy, but they try to fool you by carefully crafting their packages and their food labels to make it appear healthy, or healthier at least, than it really is. And so they use these buzzwords that they know will get you to buy, things like heart healthy, low sodium, organic, all natural, high fiber, and so forth. And again, this is all super misleading because they leave out the rest of the ingredients, the negative health consequences of their food products, because they're just cherry picking the best, or really the only if good thing that it might have going for it, because they want to make money, and that's all. So I could honestly go on and on about the messiness of this problem. I didn't even really get into food politics and just lobbying and all of that. So I don't want to dive into that today, but really what I want you to take away is that really the entire system, the government, science, medicine, media, academics, in large, they promote profits over health and technology over food, and just confusion over clarity. And sadly, this is true in nutrition and in life. Just follow the money. And so, sorry I get a little passionate about this one because it's just maddening to me. But anyways, let's go into number 3. The third reason why nutrition is so confusing is because we have a reductionist framework. Just looking at the comments here. Okay, so we have a reductionist framework. What's a reductionist framework? It's looking at the parts rather than looking at the whole. And so we don't believe that the food itself is important. We believe that the nutrients contained in the food is what matters most. And so we talk about it, we study it. This way we sell and practice nutrition in reference to specific nutrients and specific quantities. So we fixate on individual vitamins, individual minerals, photochemicals, and our biggest obsession of them all, calories, and now macros. But nutrition is not as simple as just 2 + 2 = 4. Our bodies are complex. Food is complex. It's not just what we put in our mouth. It's also what our body does with that food. It's what our body needs at that moment in time, and not everything is absorbed or used. It all works synergistically. So for example, a carrot is better than a beta carotene pill or supplement, because a carrot has many other nutrients besides beta carotene. It has other photochemicals, some that we don't even know about, and they all interact and work together and complement each other. And so what you'll find is that when it comes to nutrition, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And in fact, a reductionist framework is dangerous and has led to harmful results. So going back to that carrot example, beta carotene was shown to basically keep lungs healthy. And so researchers decided to do a study where they tried to treat smokers with a beta carotene supplement. However, what they found is that what happened was they had to stop the study short because they found that their rate for getting lung cancer actually increased for those who were taking the beta carotene supplement. But in the same study, those who were eating the foods that contain beta carotene, they decreased their rates. And so, in other words, we need to be careful with this reductionist framework. It has its place, but we need to focus on the whole carrot, the whole food, and not just the individual nutrients or just the calories or macros. And we need to start appreciating the complexity of our bodies and foods, but at the same time embrace the simplicity and simply just looking at the whole and not the parts. Macronutrients are protein, carbohydrates, and fat. You could consider alcohol is one too, but that's what I'm talking about when I mean macros. So there's people now who, instead of looking at calories, there's basically a diet talking about if it fits in my macros. So they'll be given a certain amount of grams of protein that they should eat a day, carbohydrates that they should eat, and fats. And so macros is all the rage right now. Okay, so any other questions? Leave them in the comments. So number 4 is a lack of nutrition education in medical school. So believe it or not, but doctors have virtually no training in nutrition and how it relates to health. And it's not just inadequate, it's merely non-existent. And I was shocked to hear this in my nutrition course and via the plant-based doctors that I follow now. But what I learned was that the average amount of education that a medical student gets focused on nutrition is only 20 contact hours. And what's worse is that most of it's taught in the first year of medical school as part of their other basic science courses. So for example, in biochemistry, they learn about like nutrient metabolism or the biochemical reactions involving certain vitamins or minerals. And it has nothing to do with what foods you should eat in order to promote health and prevent disease. And one book that I read, Proteinaholic by Dr. Garth Davis, he said, let me go to it, that in medical school we were given the idea that disease is pretty much inevitable. Humans just seem to be destined to get some kind of chronic disorder, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, maybe Alzheimer's. Not much you could do to prevent it. Basically, all you could do was medicate it. If your medication had side effects, you treated those still with more medications. So in other words, they're never really taught how nutrition plays a role in the prevention and treatment of common diseases. And he admitted in his book, too, that when it comes to dieting, that doctors don't know any more than their most uninformed patients. And another problem in terms of their education is that they are taught to rely on drugs and devices. They learn that for every problem there is a pill. And so what do? Well, of course, they prescribe medication and surgeries because that's what they've been taught is the most effective way to combat disease. And of course, technology has their place in nutrition, or not necessarily nutrition, but in helping us to be healthy or keep us healthy. But another problem, again, is money. So one doctor that I followed, Dr. John McDougall, he said that the problem with doctors starts with our education. The whole system is paid for by the drug industry, from education to research. The drug industry has bought the minds of the medical profession. It starts the day you enter medical school, all the way through medical school, everything is supported by the drug industry. And this same doctor, John McDougall, said that he had 1 hour of nutrition instruction in medical school, and that involves learning which infant formulas to use. And Dr. Davis had a similar experience. Well, let me go to it again. So he said that he didn't realize at the time when he was going through medical school that nutrition was missing until later. But he says, want to guess how many hours my fellow med students and I spent studying the ways that food affects the human body? A grand total of 1. And if you're thinking I spent those 60 minutes learning about which foods keep us healthy and which foods makes you sick, you'd be way off base. That single hour of nutrition was all about how to administer an IV formula to a patient so sick he couldn't eat on his own. As for what kinds of foods might be good for the rest of us humans, not a single word. And so doctors, people who we would expect to give us sound nutritional advice, don't even know what they're talking about. Of course, there are some who do, but in general. And the biggest, most maddening of all is their typical diet recommendation for diabetes, a low-carb diet. And I won't go into that today, but it just shows that they really have not studied nutrition. And then lastly, number 5, the reason why nutrition is so confusing is because people want to hear only what they want to hear. So we have our own biases and preferences when it comes to food. We don't want to give up our processed junk foods, our high meat craze, or our dairy, or rather cheese addiction. And so we seek out diets or studies that affirm our preferred eating habits, even if it's been proven unhealthy. And if we like a particular food, we're happy to get our nutrients from it. But if we don't like a food, then we think it's fine to skip it as long as we just take a supplement with, the same amount of nutrients, which doesn't work the same way. There are a lot of people who would rather just take a pill or undergo surgery than just change their diet. And again, people will capitalize on this. They will write diet books and create and sell their own supplements to make money off of you or to seek, recognition or fame. And so as you can see, these 5 reasons I talked about make nutrition complex and confusing when in reality it's really not. And so my goal is to educate you and eliminate the confusion so that you can be empowered to make healthy choices that are going to help you to feel better, perform better, live longer, and even look better too. And so what I'd love for you to do is just comment below what you learned. Was there anything surprising to you? Anything that was maddening to you? Drop it in the comments now. I'll check the comments, see if there's any more coming in. Let me know what you learned. Whether you're live or watching the replay, drop it in the comments. What's surprising to you? What makes you mad? I'd love to know. And then Thursday in my private group, I'm going to be talking about what is good nutrition. And so if you want to join me live to learn more about good nutrition, be sure to join the group because that's the only way that you'll be able to view the content. And again, I'm focusing on nutrition all this month, so be sure to stay tuned. Every Tuesday at 12 p.m. I'll be going live on this Cross Training Women Facebook page. Feel free to send me any questions that you have about nutrition. Drop them in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to address those as well, and maybe even do a video around it. So be sure to let me know if you have any questions about nutrition. Okay, well, I'm not seeing anything else come in right now, but thank you for joining me live today. I will see you guys on Thursday or back here on Tuesday.